Hey everybody, Livingston here. Today we're jumping into another fun-filled episode of the Twilight Zone. This time it is Season 3, Episode 33. The Dummy came out May 4th, 1962, and another one I haven't seen before. But before we get started, let's jump into your comments for last week's episode and see what you had to say about it. Ben Rositas8068 says that at the 16-minute mark, that's Floyd the Barber from Andy Griffith. Yeah, old Floyd the Barber. Spotter, they used to call me. I'll have to look into that. I didn't really realize that that was Floyd the Barber. It's been a while since I actually sat down and watched the Andy Griffith Show. Jack Dorsey 4850 says, wow, a lot of veteran actors in this one. Andy Devine, Howard McNeil, just to name a few. Nice episode. I thought it was a very nice episode as well. Natalie Compton says, I quote the Brady Bunch movie where Mike, the father character, tells Cindy to tattletale tales a tale. Wow. Is that the tale you want to tell? That's definitely tongue twister. I didn't even know that that was something that they said in that show. I haven't watched much of the Brady Bunch, but I'm just surprised that I actually got through it without stuttering, so that's pretty cool. Jonathan Stein says, usually comedic episodes don't work well for Twilight Zone, but this one is great. I agree. This one was one of the funnier episodes, lighthearted episodes that I actually really enjoyed for the most part. There wasn't really a lot of things that I could say that was negative about it, really. Kendall Square says, this is a good episode with a happy ending. I'm not sure that it's one of my favorite episodes. Yeah, it's not one of my favorite episodes. I mean, it could end up in my top 5 of this season, possibly, but I'm not sure if it's going to rank in the top 5 for all 5, or how many seasons? 5 seasons of the Twilight Zone. So it's going to be interesting to actually go through and make that list at some point. Maybe I'll do a top 10. It's just a lot of episodes to kind of go through. Top 10 might be best. Antarctic Orb 9197 says, Theodore Marcuse played the character Kurab in the episode called Cat Spa in Star Trek. Great actor, and I believe he died in a drunken driving accident in the late 60s. Well, that's sad to hear that he died in a fatal accident. That's never a good ending for anybody. And yeah, I'll have to check out Star Trek. I think it's going to be next on my list here to actually go through the Star Trek series and watch the original one. I've already watched basically the rest of them, but I have not watched the original, even though my favorite characters are the original, people, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, all of them. But yeah, I grew up with the movies, part 1 all the way through part 10, even though 10's not the greatest. And that, to me, that was Star Trek for the longest time. Then I got into The Next Generation. Of course, I've seen like quintessential episodes of Star Trek, but the majority of them I have not watched. Rick Kinnett 143 says, old Twilight Zone Livingstone, they call him. Well, I spelled my name without the E, but yeah, that's, I guess, one of them out there calls me that. So thanks, Rick. Slim Plum 691 says, top 3 episode for me. Love this one. Is that top 3 for the entire season, or is that top 3 for all of Twilight Zone? I'd like to know. It might be a top 3 for this season for me. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to rate yet. I still have to get through the rest of the season. Not too far away to the ending of this season and on to season 4, where it sounds like the episodes get up to like 40 minutes or so, which is basically double of what the 23 minutes are. So it's going to be interesting to see the differences in episodes. Maybe they'll tell more of an elaborate story. I kind of like that Twilight Zone was kind of short. 23 minutes, you get into your story, out of your story pretty quick. And when you get to 4, you got to fill in more time. You're probably not going to have as much of a tighter episode. I could be wrong. It could be the best season out there. I'm not sure. Let me know, comment below, if season 4 is actually a great season in comparison to the other ones. Antarctic Orb 9197 actually comes back and does another comment, says, I love the charm of this episode. I do too. I thought it was a very good episode in that respect. Queen's Lady Day says, Andy Devine, who plays Frisbee, had a great Saturday morning kids show from 1955 to 1960 called Andy's Gang. I've heard of the name of Andy's Gang, but I have no idea what Andy's Gang is. But CBCW76 says, I always wonder how many local TV stations had morning and after-school local host TV shows, amalgamations of syndicated cartoons, a puppeteer or two, similar to what Bill Murray's young character did in his Scrooge movie, wearing costumes, learning to do marks on TV sets, cues for timing, etc. I think most of those disappeared by 1980, and probably most were pulling the plug by 1970. What a sham that children for the last 3 to 4 decades weren't given that chance except for a very few national brand shows with high syndication fees. Yeah, I mean, I grew up with Sesame Street as well as Mr. Rogers, and there was a slew of cartoons that I was raised up on. I also watched a lot of stuff that was before my time, like Captain Kangaroo, which is more of a Canadian thing. I also watched Fraggle Rock was in there. I mean, I also watched Lamb Chops. That was pretty fun. This is the song that doesn't end, and it goes on and on, my friends. You know, that one. But I mean, there was a slew of them I watched, but it was all like things that came out before I was even around. So it's kind of funny that I was watching a lot of the older shows that my parents were actually raised up on. So Monty Rose 78 says, best of all of the Twilight Zone comedy episodes. Yeah, I do believe so as well. I think it was one of the best Twilight Zone comedy episodes that they had out there. CBCW76 says, from first viewing to these 63 years later, this episode remains distinctive and memorable. It helps his Jingles character was so well known because of Andy Devine's role on TV's Wild Bill Hickok, 1951 and 1958. I don't remember that TV show much, but we all recognized Jingles and whatever role he took on. Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, Mad, Mad, Mad World, and 196 and 196 other IMDb credits. He was memorable, and in this episode, Rod Serling perfectly captured Andy's memorable character. Season 3 had more or less memorable episodes than seasons 1 and 2, but this one episode supports the argument that Twilight Zone remains an outstanding TV series. Very true. I do wholeheartedly agree with you there. I think Twilight Zone is probably one of the best TV shows out there for anybody to watch. California Hummus says, I wonder if this ending influenced the Mars Attacks ending. You know, I never really thought about that, but it could have very much been the very start in Tim Burton's mind to pull this out of this episode and put it in Mars Attacks as a way to destroy the aliens. So, who knows? It could have been. Steve Harrison 9901 says, Balloon Corpse, pronounced core FYI. Well, thanks for letting me know, Steve. Tom G6318 says, you mean anything that anyone tells you you just think is the truth? Wow, I know you don't talk about politics here, but these aliens must have left a seed that spread into full bloom around 2016. Well, no comment. Anyways, everyone, thanks for the comments. Very much appreciate it. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to continue on this voyage to episode 156 of The Twilight Zone. And stick around until the very end of this, where I will go through some of the trivia to see what it took to get this episode off the ground. Now, let's jump into it and see what we're getting into. The Twilight
Zone. Ladies and gentlemen, we're certainly glad to be here tonight.
Speak for yourself, Turkey.
That's Jerry.
I'm getting out of here.
No, wait a minute now, Willie. Just stay right here. I'm sorry if I said anything. I didn't mean it.
You did admit that you were superstitious now, didn't you? But you don't throw salt over your shoulders or cross your fingers or anything like that.
No, I knock on wood.
I guess they didn't have the little pole that they sometimes use that they have today on dummies.
What would you do without me?
Have that hand movement. It actually brings the character to life more so.
Watch this. A funny thing happened to me on my way over to the club tonight. I was out in front of the Ritz Savoy. That's where I live. Out in front of the Ritz Savoy.
You put formaldehyde in those jokes? Oh, somebody must preserve them.
Great. Talented man. Bravo.
You're watching Event.
Oh, that was cool. I like that he's part of the audience in this one.
His alter ego sitting atop his lap is a brass stick of kindling with the sobriquet Willie. That small, dark, intimate place known as the Twilight Zone.
Usually they do like a quick squish pan, like, and he's like in a different area. I like it when they incorporate him into the actual telling of the story. The dummy.
Well, now, Willie, I think it would be very nice if you'd say good night and thank you to all these wonderful, wonderful people.
Can you do this?
Whoa. I have no idea where this is going. If I had to guess, I would say maybe it was going towards possibly the dummy having its own personality at some point, and it starts talking to his master in a way, maybe. When they look at him like, what the hell? Hey, that was weird. He's looking away now. Is it going to be different? That pans back up. And, yep, looking back at him. That would be creepy.
What do you say, Maestro?
How'd it go?
Small house, but a happy one. There weren't any complaints. What do you say, Bobby?
Don't touch my doll.
I thought you gave me a solemn promise you were going to do your drinking out of soda pop bottles and coffee jugs. First, I'd like to clear the air. And if you stay on that bottle, you're going to lose even that rate.
All right. I'll put away the bottle now. Will you pull out?
Sure you will. Try to get off that bottle once you're on it. Not that I know from experience.
Maybe it's because I've got a soft spot in my heart. People who like to commit suicide 8 hours a day.
Is this guy's depressed?
Take away the hooch and you take away the nightmare.
No, you got the chronology wrong, Frank. I gotta get rid of it, Frank.
It's a stick of wood. Jerry, how many psychiatrists do you have to see?
It's no more schizophrenia or paranoia than his athlete's foot. Willie's alive!
He's a dummy! He's a block of wood! Look at it!
He's got a life, man.
I've also covered for you the 110 performances you've run out on. I thought of excuses that haven't even been invented yet. I've gone without commission, without sleep. Because I thought I had a talented article here. And eventually it was going to crawl out from under a bottle and hit it big. I don't think you're such a talented article anymore, Jerry. Maybe I think you could be. I think you're a self-indulgent sot with an overactive imagination.
Tell me how you really feel.
I'm going to give you just 24 hours to straighten out. Get rid of that bottle and get rid of the crazy obsession that you're battling a dummy.
All right, guess I'll drink it tonight. Can't waste the booze. That's expensive stuff.
He's alive. Willie's not a dummy.
Who is that?
That's a dummy. Make a new routine.
A whole new routine takes time. You've got another show in half an hour. Now, Jerry, you pull yourself together. And when you hear your music, you be out on that stage. I don't care which dummy you bring, but you be out there. This is one I don't cover for, Jerry.
Do your same act, but just change the name and use a different dummy.
Why don't you have your glasses fixed?
I don't have to.
Goofy, you're looking at the band leader. I'm over here.
Keep talking, I'll find you. You put too much starch in my collar.
Too much starch in your collars. I'm not your laundry man. Yeah, we're gonna make it, you and me. Just you and me.
Uh-oh. Jealous? Uh-oh. He winked. Well, that's 7 years bad luck.
Yeah, make me talk, Jerry.
No,
Come
look,
on.
Noreen, I'm on in a couple of minutes.
Oh,
after the
come
show.
on.
Knock it off, babe. That tickles. Willie, shut up!
Thanks, Willie. Do they like him?
Now, tell me what that says.
Oh, that thing. Just give me a hint.
Well, it's a letter, and it's between D and F.
It's E.
I don't know how you do it, Goofy.
Are the stars out tonight?
With the ventriloquist, you've seen one, you've seen them all. Every dummy looks the same.
That's not always true.
Change the jokes, I'd have a...
On today, they got a lot of different dummies. Like, Jeff Dunham has, like, I don't know, what, 7, 8, 10 different kind of dummies he goes through. And they don't all look the same.
This guy plays it like Greta Garbo. Locks himself up in his room like a prima donna.
It's his first night out in a month or so. A chance, Georgie. He'll warm up for you.
Tell him to bring the dummy out and walk around the tables after the show. It's psychological, Frankie.
What a short show. A couple jokes, a song, boom. That's it. How is it going to be, a happy end or a sad ending for this guy at the end?
Sweet dreams, Willie. Your next booking is in a fireplace.
You shouldn't have told him that. Now he's going to have to do something about it.
Well, it looks like you're leaving. I waited for you after the last show.
You tell Georgie I'm a ventriloquist, not a shill.
Why don't you tell him? That means I'm resigning from the club. You keep your 10%, and I'll keep my self-respect. You and I have had it, Jerry. I have gone the route and then some. You need medical help. I think it's reached that now. Yeah, I believed you. I believe those obsessions are eating you up alive, but I also believe, Jerry, you're letting them.
He talks when I don't talk. He tells jokes I never heard of before. Gives me bum cues. He's alive, Frank. That's gonna fly to Miami, Los Angeles, maybe that place in Kansas City.
Place in Kansas City is the same as Miami. And you're not going to leave, Willie, by hopping a plane.
We'll see.
Okay, now what's going to happen? That dummy just going to randomly show up? Maybe his friend ends up dead. I don't know.
You're
did-
not gonna leave me in a stuffy old trunk, are you?
See, no one else hears it. It's in your head, bro.
Was there something, Mr. Etherson?
Did you say something?
I said good night, that's all.
I must be hearing things.
Oh, come on, old sport. I wouldn't lock you in a trunk.
Sure you wouldn't?
Jerry?
Yeah. Oh, well, you said hit my name, walked all that way, and just to say goodnight. Oh, there's going to be more to it. Is the dummy going to get his revenge?
Didn't you forget someone?
No.
Didn't you forget Willie?
They went Dutch angle all of a sudden. Is Willie walking? No. One of the ladies.
Jerry?
Noreen, I was waiting for you. Yeah, that's right.
Well, don't come off weird.
No, I was waiting for you because I want to have a drink with you, Noreen. Or
Get off me, crazy.
I've always wanted to.
Well, if you didn't come off that way,
What's the matter with you, Jerry?
There's nothing the matter with me.
something's a little off about you, dude.
Then I don't want to be alone. I keep hearing those voices. That Willie is bugging me. Bugging me. Wait
All right, yeah, she'll stick around now. It's going crazy. Split personality, maybe? But the doll was moving. But at the same time, we don't know if that was his interpretation of what the doll was doing, and everybody else just doesn't see it. Is he in there? Uh-oh. Looks like he killed the one he liked, the actual dummy. Or they're probably both dummies. The other one just, he thinks he's talking to him. Dear God, he got the wrong one.
The wrong one.
We should make a dummy out of actual wood.
Why don't you take the eye test? I'll give you a hint. It's between D and F. Don't peek, don't peek. What do you say? We get down to business.
What kind of business?
How can you be real when you're made of wood?
You made me real. You poured words into my head. You moved my mouth. You stuck out my tongue. You made me what I am today.
So is the act going to be better? Is he going to put the dummy in the chair and the dummy's just going to start talking? That would be cool.
Or any place else, Jerry and Willie. Let's bring them out, big folks, and show them out.
Folks, how do you do? A funny thing happened to me on the way over to the club tonight.
Uh-oh.
I don't mean broad, you mean lady.
They switched places.
Well, anyway, I met this broad coming down the street.
If you're given to night clubbing on occasion, check this act. It's called Willie and Jerry, known as the Twilight Zone.
That was interesting. Well, that was the dummy, and I gotta say, I was kind of taken aback by the ending. I had no clue that is what was going to happen at the very end of them switching places. I mean, for the most part, it had that kind of feeling that I seen when it came to, like, the Goosebumps. If anybody out there knows what Goosebumps is, it was a long-running series of books. Maybe it's still going for all I don't know, but it was written by R.L. Stine, and he's written several books called The Dummy. You know, Goosebumps presents The Dummy. And there was like Dummy Part 2, Part 3, and there might have been some other ones in there as well. But it was all about this dummy that was cursed, and it had this evil spirit in it, and it was able to talk to other people. And then they ended up making a movie with Jack Black. There was also a TV series in the mid-90s, and every single interpretation of the Goosebumps tends to have the dummy as being the main antagonist of the story, like the television show that came out a couple years ago on Disney Plus. Definitely worth a watch. Check it out. But yeah, I think that's probably where they got the idea of the dummy for the Goosebumps franchise, is from the Twilight Zone, which it seems like a lot of things that I love came from the Twilight Zone series. So awesome to see that they took another episode from this and made an entire franchise based on one story. And yeah, Cliff Robertson was in this. He did a good job as the guy who was the ventriloquist, and I just really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a pretty good one, especially at the very end when it threw in that twist of the dummy and the ventriloquist basically switching spots, and the dummy was controlling the ventriloquist, who is now the dummy, and blah blah blah, vice versa. But anyways, let me know, comment below what you thought of this episode. I'd like to know your thoughts. Now let's jump into the trivia and see what it took to get this episode off the ground. The dummy Willie was created by American ventriloquist supplies maker Ravello Petit, while the dummy seen at the end was created by English builder Lynn and Soule. Willie is in the private collection of magician David Copperfield, along with the Cliff Robertson dummy effigy, which appears at the end of this episode. Both puppets were subject to a careful preservative renovation by American artist and puppet restoration expert Alan Samak. Rod Serling's reference to the Grey Night Way is a play on the common nickname for Broadway, which is the Great White Way. The ventriloquist dummy was later reused in Caesar and Me, 1964, at a similar plot in which Jackie Cooper plays a ventriloquist. Other films of disturbed ventriloquists include The Great Gabbo, 1929, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, 1955, The Glass-Eyed, 1957, the low-budget British production Devil Doll, 1964, The Magnificent Magic, 1978, while contemporary filmmakers have recently gone to the well again with Dead Silence, 2007, good movie. But for many people, the outstanding example is that found within the British anthology movie Dead of Night, 1945, which gives us an unforgettable performance by Michael Redgrave as the tormented ventriloquist Maxwell Frere and a dummy Hugo Fitch, who will haunt your nightmares. I'll have to check that out. There is a similar plot of ventriloquist terrorized by evil dummy appearing in Magic, 1978, and in some Batman comics and cartoons involving the character Arnold Wesker and Scarface since 1987. Cliff Robertson is also credited while providing the voice with both Willie and Goofy Goggles. And if you don't know who Cliff Robertson is, he was in a movie called Charlie that came out in 1968, but I think a lot of people will probably recognize him as Ben Parker from Spider-Man 2002 with Tobey Maguire, and he was also in the sequels as well. But anyways, that's it for this episode. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait for next week's episode. Don't forget to tune in then. Until next time, see you later.